Trump has a big, bold plan for Social Security. He wants to end taxes on Social Security income, which could benefit millions of Americans. But one lawmaker is saying that this is a fatal mistake, as Republicans are split on what to do about Medicare and Social Security reforms, with the Democrats saying that the Republicans are going to cut Social Security. A new bill has been introduced here, which would actually ban cuts to Social Security payments. If this bill passes, that means that no one could cut Social Security payments. What can happen next? I'm going to give you those details, as well as what is being said in Congress.
These outdated rules have stranded about 4 out of every 10 people who receive it in poverty and unable to work. So I want to walk through an example just to make sure we're in on the numbers.
Play the full video clip from that senator and give you some other important updates as well. Before I dive into the main content, if you appreciate these Social Security updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more Social Security updates. So Trump's plan to end taxes on Social Security income is a fatal mistake, a lawmaker says. What that could mean for benefits. So, as Social Security marked its 89th anniversary, the program faces looming fund depletion dates. Lawmakers have suggested tax changes, including eliminating taxes on benefits or raising how much the wealthy must contribute to the program. But what about what former President Trump and presidential candidate Trump has to say about Social Security and taxes? So, former President Trump has touted a bold new idea for Social Security, ending taxes on benefit income, saying this: seniors should not pay tax on Social Security. I think almost everybody can agree with that, regardless of whether you're left, right, Republican, Democrat. Personally, I'm an independent, but I think everyone would agree, why should you pay tax on Social Security? It's meant to help people. If you tax it, it helps less people. So while the change would let beneficiaries keep more of their monthly checks, Trump's plan has a fatal mistake in that it doesn't make up for the revenue that would be lost, according to Representative John Larson. What he says here, Larson, is he comes out and says he's going to have a tax break, but doesn't say how he's going to pay for that. In essence, his proposal would end up cutting the Social Security Trust Fund. So Representative Larson disagrees with Trump's plan to end taxes for Social Security income. Now, he brings up a good point. Larson brings up a good point. Although you would get more money, or let's say your income isn't taxed, you don't have that Social Security payroll tax, you would have more take-home income, but what is going to pay for Social Security? So that's the question here. Both have great points. What was said here from Social Security Commissioner O'Malley, saying, I believe from my conversations with lots of people, both sides of the aisle on Capitol Hill, that there's the will to actually examine this and extend it for many, many years to come. So the commissioner is hopeful and optimistic about Social Security, as is everyone, but what is the plan? We still don't have a plan of how to extend the solvency for Social Security. Moving on, Republicans split on tackling deficit, including Medicare Social Security reforms. So when it comes to the Republicans and Trump is in a league of his own. The Republicans say they want to raise the Social Security FRA, full retirement age, but Trump does not want to raise the eligibility for Social Security. So where do they stand right there? Well, a lot of people have accused the Republicans of saying that they're going to cut Social Security. There is proof that some Republicans actually have said that. I've shared the video clips of that, of one Republican saying this in secret, that he wanted to cut Social Security. Now, this isn't what all Republicans want to do. There is a committee that may have the power to cut Social Security, but no one has ever put forth any bills to cut Social Security. Yet GOP lawmakers are deeply divided over how to reduce the deficit, and some fiscal conservatives are blaming their own leaders for running up the debt during Trump's White House term. So when it comes to Social Security, they're still not really sure what they want to do about it. Former President Trump is calling for a $4 trillion to $6 trillion in tax cuts over 10 years if he's elected to another term. And the Congressional Budget Office projects that even without new tax cuts, the debt will grow by more than $20 trillion over the next decade. So when it comes to what the Republicans are going to do, well, I think one really interesting plan right here is Congressman introduces a bill to ban cuts to Social Security payments. So regardless of whatever the Republicans plan to do with Social Security, if this bill passes, looks like there won't be any cuts for anybody with Social Security. So I'm going to go over that bill in a moment, but first, take a listen to what Senator Warren has to say about Social Security, and then I'll get into this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in 1972, Congress established the Social Security Income, or SSI, so that people with disabilities could live in dignity and be somewhat self-supporting by getting a monthly cash payment. And it's now a critical lifeline for about 8 million Americans. But the problem is that these outdated rules have stranded about 4 out of every 10 people who receive it in poverty and unable to work. So I want to walk through an example just to make sure we're in on the numbers. A young woman living with disability who receives the average SSI payment, which is about $698 a month last year, well below the poverty line. So she picks up a remote minimum wage graphic design job for 8 hours a week, allowing her to take home another $232 a month, still leaving her well below the poverty line. Ms. Wilschke, you're an associate commissioner at the Social Security Administration. Say that SSA sees that this woman is earning $232 from her job each month on top of her SSI benefits. Under current law, can she keep the $232?
Thank you for the question. She would keep part of it, but it would be, her benefit would be reduced.
How much?
It's 80, she can keep the first $85 and half of the rest.
So she gets $85 is the amount she can keep from her work. And after that, for every $2 she earns, what happens to her Social Security benefits?
It would go down by $1.
They go down by $1. You know, and then it gets worse. We've talked about another part of this cliff. Say she works for a few hours each week. She manages to put a little money aside. She wants to put down a deposit to try to get an apartment. And between her savings and SSI and her job, she manages to save just a little over $2,000. Now, when SSA sees that she has over $2,000, just walk us through. What happens, Ms. Wilschke?
Generally speaking, if she has liquid resources above the asset limit, she would not be eligible, at least for that month.
So she loses all of her benefits at that point. So she's done at that point.
Yes.
So SSI rules mean that this young woman can't afford to save for an apartment. She can't take a part-time job without jeopardizing her benefits. And having to continuously toe the monetary line here in order to keep her existing payments, I think is a minefield, as Senator Whitehouse has just pointed out, especially for an individual with a disability. So it's not just hard for SSI recipients, which we've been talking about. I want to talk about what it does for SSA. Associate Commissioner Wilschke, how does the complexity of SSI's eligibility rules impact the Social Security Administration and your administrative costs?
Thank you for the question. Yes, SSI is complex for us to administer, and so while SSI payments only make up about 4 or 5% of our benefit outlays, it does make up about 1/3 of our administrative budget.
So you're spending 1/3 of your budget to track down people who now have $2,010 in total assets or who have made $100 more than the $85 that they were entitled to earn without triggering this. You know, SSI is supposed to keep Americans with disabilities out of poverty, but it offers below poverty level support. It punishes people for working, and it punishes recipients for savings all while the Social Security Administration is spending big dollars in order to administer this system. So I think we've all been talking about the importance of making changes here. I'm working with Senator Brown and others on this committee to pass the SSI Restoration Act, which would raise the benefit rate and help fix these outdated rules. I'm glad to see that there's bipartisan support for raising the asset limits so that SSI beneficiaries can save more than a few pennies without fear of losing their benefits, and so that the Social Security Administration can just spend less time administering all of this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What are your thoughts on what Elizabeth Warren has to say? Agree, disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. So Congressman introduced this bill to ban cuts to Social Security payments. So basically, Representative Pat Ryan is saying this: we want to be very clear and straightforward about what this bill is. Saying this, that the legislation is partly in response to a proposed budget by the Republican Study Committee that calls for the cuts for Social Security retirement benefits. So to be clear, it doesn't call for cuts for Social Security, although a lot of Democrats say that. Former President Donald Trump has pledged to leave benefit amounts untouched if we were to win another term. Yet still, some Democrats want a guarantee. So what he's saying here is, I will put out a challenge, regardless of party, to every House member. If you're serious about protecting Social Security, which a lot of people claim to be, please co-sponsor this bill in a bipartisan way, and let's get it passed. So what's saying here, according to, or actually what he said here is, I do not support cuts to Social Security or other benefits our American seniors depend on. They paid into Social Security and deserve to reap the full benefits of the program. Furthermore, I fully support repealing any tax on Social Security. Our seniors have already paid taxes on the money they invested and should not have to pay the government a second time when they receive it. I think everyone should agree with that. If they do pass this Social Security bill, it'll actually take away all the ammo away from the Democrats, because President Biden, the only thing he said about Social Security over the past 4 years of his presidency is that the Republicans are going to cut Social Security. Now, if this bill passes, what are the Democrats going to say about the Social Security? They're not really putting forth any legislation, any votes, besides a handful, such as Representative Larson and Bernie Sanders. But besides them, there's really no plans put forth about Social Security from the Democrats, except saying that the Republicans are going to cut Social Security. So we're in a tough spot here. It seems like they're just putting band-aids on the solution, not really getting to the root of it. Anyways, that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, I'm going to give you the 5 positive tips to make you start your day and make you be positive and grateful as much as you can. So first, stay happy, stay strong, and have good vibes, and do great to others when they do great to you. And also, you know this one, be nice to others when you be nice to them. Bye.
Social Security has a $1 billion backlog, and they are overpaying and clawing back. And there's a new Social Security bill that will prevent those clawbacks with a certain amount of years. So to find out more on that, click this video over here. And Representative Larson gives a fiery speech. You're not going to want to miss that. So click that video now, and I'll see you in that video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.